Good afternoon, Packers fans. Aaron Negler here with your Packers Daily Chat, coming to you live on the Cheesehead TV social channels. It is Thursday. The Packers have re signed linebacker Eric Wilson, a special teams stalwart. Not exactly a demon from scrimmage, but you did recall probably the one big fourth down stop he had in New York against Saquon Barkley, or probably better yet, you probably remember the fact that he recovered Keyshawn Nixon's fumble in the divisional playoff game. A excellent depth piece, somebody for special teams. I'd be actually pretty shocked if he's given much of an opportunity to win anything from scrimmage as far as a starting job or even a rotational piece, but a good special teams guy and a guy you like for depth. Packers continue to add depth. Clearly, this is akin to the Corey Ballantyne signing as far as guys who, yeah, will get a chance to compete and become a core member of the roster, but not guys that you're going to be handing starting positions to, obviously. No doubt about it, the Packers have slowed to a crawl, as it were. I mentioned it this morning in the Cheesehead TV, Cheesehead Nation newsletter. Thanks to everybody who's signed up. It's been a lot of fun. Latest one went out this morning. Kudos to everybody who has responded via email and said how much they're enjoying it. I really appreciate the support. I've had, yeah, of course, always one or two complaints about certain things, formatting, what have you. But for the most part, everyone's really enjoying it. Thanks to everybody who's already signed up. If you want to sign up, we're going out every week, every Thursday morning throughout the off season. We'll kick it up to twice a season once the regular season kicks off. But in the meantime, you can sign up in the link in the description of this video here on YouTube. And yes, I am on YouTube. I had a couple of questions actually, one via email, one via Facebook Messenger, asking how the folks watching or listening, etc., when they're doing so live, how can they get in on the super chats? I obviously say thanks for the super chat a lot. If you are watching on any other platform, head on over to YouTube. Most importantly, subscribe to our YouTube channel. But yeah, head on over to YouTube, and that's where the super chat function originates. And when you see people and their questions being flashed here on the screen, that is via the YouTube super chat feature. So and thank you to everyone who reaches out in any capacity, just to say that they're watching or listening. I really appreciate each and every one of you. And yes, speaking of listening, don't forget you can subscribe or download our podcasts anywhere really that you get your podcast. Packers Daily is available on all the major platforms: Spotify, Apple, iHeart, Google, etc. Um, you can also listen ad free on our Patreon page. If you are a Patreon member, every Patreon member gets access to Packers Daily as a podcast, and you can link it to whatever listening device you like, put the feed right in there, and then you don't have to listen to the ads that are prevalent on all the other major platforms. So that's one of the probably underutilized benefits. Underutilized only because I rarely mention it, but I feel like I haven't done a very good job of letting people know everything that's available when it comes to Cheesehead TV. I just go about my life and kind of make the content and cut it up and put it out there and do all the stuff I need to do to make sure it's available everywhere. But I do a really piss poor job of letting you guys know everywhere it's available. So I apologize for that. That's my bad. And thank you to everybody who consumes the content in any way, shape, or form. Hello, everybody in the comment section. So good to see you all. We've already got a super chat. I'm just blabbering over here. We've got a couple super chats already. What's up? Dustin, how are you doing, man? Random Packer, Ken Bowman. Go Pack Go. RIP. And yes, a classic, all-time great uh, center for Lombardi's Packers. Uncultured. Thanks for the super chat. Nags, amazing what you can do when you have some wiggle room with the cap and a QB that doesn't come off as a douche. Okay, all right. That's unnecessary on Rodgers there. I mean, look, there's no doubt that we're all very excited that players are coming to Green Bay and name checking Jordan Love, but I think they would have been doing that in Rodgers' prime or much earlier in Rodgers' career if Ted hadn't been so adverse to free agency. You know what I mean? Like Brian has shown, yes, he will kind of stretch his legs a little bit when it comes to free agency. And yes, Ted obviously waded into those waters on occasion, whether it was Charles Woodson, Julius Peppers. I'll go back to Ryan Pickett, right? He wasn't completely shut off, but it's very clear Brian is much more open to the idea of bringing in guys from other programs, whereas Ted was much more insular, right? So I don't really see that as a reflection of Rodgers. I know we have a lot of fun with that quote that he had, but for the most part, it's not like Ted was like signing a ton of people. There were a ton of opportunities there. Nick, what's up, man? Draft crush moving to Graham Barton for OG. Great run blocking could be a boon for Josh Jacobs run for Josh Jacobs to run behind. Random Packer, Torrey Humphrey. Torrey Humphrey's a good pull. And yeah, dude, Barton has caught fire as of late on a lot of mocks that I've seen to the Packers at 25. I tend to think he's more of a day 2 selection, probably early day 2, but who knows, man? If the Packers like him, it wouldn't surprise me to see them take him there, right? I really like the player. I don't know about the value there at 25, but yeah, I'm with you. I would not be upset if he's the selection at 25. I think he's a really good football player. And you guys know, I always say, I just give me good football players up and down the draft. That's really all I care about. Because they always look at this thing, they meaning the Packers, value wise, so much differently than most people outside the building do, right? So, hey, man, I'm just excited to find new Packers under the Christmas tree after the draft. Bruce, thank you so much for the super chat, man. Random Packers and words to live by. Go forth and conquer. Look at you, Bruce. You got your money's worth on that one. Holy Toledo. That was well done. Ben, thanks for the super chat. Hey, Nags. Hope you're well. Is wide receiver a low key need in the draft? Random Packer Blake Corum manifesting. I love Corum. I doubt he's a Packer, but I would love it. A need? I don't know, man. Look, I do not doubt for a moment that wide receiver is in play in this draft. Like, I don't discount that at all. There's certainly every possibility that they find value at some point while they're on the clock, looking at this really deep wide receiver class yet again, and say, this is obviously the best player on the board. We need to take him. Like, I don't doubt for a moment that that could occur. Yeah, but I don't see it as a need, like a classically defined need for the Packers. I mean, they've clearly got plenty of talent at the position, and yes, things can change very quickly in the NFL. I'm not dismissing that idea, especially at a position where you do traditionally play 2 or 3 at a time on every single down, right? So, yeah, I'm not saying that no, like they would never take a wide receiver. I think they potentially could. But yeah, I don't know, man. Hard for me to classify it as a need. Stro, what's up? Big fan, favorite and least favorite moments against NFC North teams. Go Pack, go! Wow, that's a wide, that's a wide subject right there. Favorite and least favorite moments against NFC North teams. Well, my least favorite, I gotta, is probably when Favre came into Lambeau and led the Vikings to victory. That second game, his first year in purple. Because obviously the first game was on, I believe it was a Monday Night Football game. It was a primetime game. And, the Packers always have trouble in Minnesota as it is. Like, that's just built into the DNA, right? So, when that happened, I was like, okay, they got theirs. But then, Favre comes to Lambeau, it's all the booing, and it was so emotional, and they won, right? That was tough. That was tough to take. So off the top of my head, that leaps to mind. Um, Favorite against a division? I mean, it's pretty easy, right? In my lifetime, it's got to be watching the Packers beat the Bears to go to the Super Bowl, and I was there. So it's tough to beat, man, because we obviously can't beat a division rival in the Super Bowl, but to beat them to get there, that's pretty dope. So that's where I would go with those. Ben Marr, thank you for the super sticker. Appreciate you, man. Mine Holtz, what's going on? How you doing, man? Random Packer, Ron Coastal Link, and Jack Venisi. Well, Venisi, I know. Can't say I'm familiar with Ron. But Venisi, I am very happy to see as of late, he has gotten more shine. I think it really started with David Marinus's book on Lombardi. And obviously the Packers now have, the Hall of Fame has, you know, eh, a lot more information about him available. There's the Heritage Trail where there's a marker for him specifically, and it does feel like his story is getting told more. And for those of you who don't know, Benici was Lombardi's main scout, and he had been there before Lombardi arrived in Green Bay and brought on a lot of players who Lombardi ended up taking and making into a championship squad. But Vinisi is the scout and the guy who collected a lot of, or basically, had the reports and did the work to collect a lot of that talent that was already on hand when Lombardi walked in the door. And I know, like I said, Marinus did some work there, and I obviously have to give a shout out to Cliff Crystal because Cliff has done incredible work, both in his book and just online at Packers.com, of shining on light on how important Vinisi was to everything that Lombardi did in Green Bay as far as scouting and player acquirement. He was instrumental, to say the least. Soder, what's up, man? Sticking with linebackers, random Packer, Brunel Dent. Oh, Brunel Dent. Wow. Now, see, that's excellent. That's some excellent random Packering right there. Pat, how you doing, man? I was watching the show F is for Family. I don't remember the episode, but there was a funny Bart Starr shout out. At least I thought it was funny. Pat, I got to admit, never seen it. Never seen F is for Family. But I'm glad to know that they're name checking the greatest quarterback to ever walk the earth. Joe, random Packer, Max Zendeja. You guys are going deep now. Going deep. Dustin, thanks for the super chat. Not a random Packer. John Kuhn. I was listening to Kuhn and the boys this morning. It's so cool to have Kuhn like in the media sphere, so to speak, covering the team and commenting on all the latest news, etc. I just love that. The fact that he was such a, in the moment kind of folk hero with the Packers and now is still around the team, still, doing work, basically covering the team. It's just great. On Culture, what's up, man? Nags, when my fandom started, I had no idea that this team would have this run of success. 70s and 80s were a rough stretch. Man, you ain't lying. I was right there with you, man. Like, I've said it before, I thought my whole life growing up in the 70s and 80s that, I s I talk a I've talked about it a lot, but, like, there was that game at the end of the year where they beat the Vikings and just missed the playoffs, but they beat the Vikings the last game of the season, week 16. It was under Lindy Infante, and they had just missed the playoffs, and it felt like we won the Super Bowl. Like, it was the greatest season of my lifetime other than the strike season where they went to the playoffs. But there was always like, "Oh, yeah, it was a strike season," right? But the fact that they did that and beat the Vikings and had a winning record, right? Still didn't make the playoffs, but they won. Oh my God. That's where we were, man. That's where everybody was as a Packers fan back then. So that's kind of why I bristle at the whole, wasting Rodgers' prime or all the nonsense about the Packers not winning more championships. They're not like the Patriots, who are the lone, huge, insane outlier, right? They've won a whole boatload of games. They've won a Super Bowl with the last two quarterbacks. Like, they just do that with Jordan Love. That's the standard now. That's what's crazy, right? Think about that. If Gutekunst, along with Jordan Love, don't win a Super Bowl sometime in this stretch here, it's going to be considered a failure. That's living in a whole nother world than where you and I were in the 70s and 80s. J. Cole, what's up, man? Random Packer Jay Cutler. He also made plays for us. Well, he threw lots of passes to Packers. There's no doubt about that. Adam, how are you, man? Any interest at the Packers East, the Patriots this season? Random Packer Brandon Chiller. Any interest in the Packers East? I'm not quite sure what you're asking there, buddy. I am interested in following their ups and downs, their trials and tribulations, as it were, simply because Elliott's in charge of putting together the team, right? Alonso's there with him. I'm very fascinated to see how that happens and what kind of team they assemble, how it differs from what Bill was doing while he was there. And I think Mayo's a good coach. I mean, you never really know, obviously, until the games start and you see how he operates, but I like their setup. I'll definitely say that. Dustin, what's up, man? I would love Frank Gore Jr. in rounds 5 or 6. I am 100% on board with that. Let's go. Miguel, thanks for the super sticker. Appreciate you, man. Uncultured again, what's up, man? On today's jams are The Boys Are Back in Town by Thin Lizzy and Paint It Black in one hit. to the Body by the Rolling Stones. Can't go wrong with the Stones, man. I love it. Zach, thank you for the super sticker. Appreciate it, man. Uncultured, what's going on? Random Packers, Lenny McGill and Kenny Stills. We had Kenny Stills, what was it, nephew? Somebody yesterday related to Kenny made him his Random Packer. I love it. Ben, what's up, man? Off topic, but are you watching Shogun? It's great. Ben, am I? I can't shut up about it. Folks, if you aren't watching Shogun, you are doing life wrong. That show is fucking phenomenal. You talk about the 70s and 80s. I remember watching the 80s version, the NBC miniseries. This puts that to shame. It is beyond excellent. 5 billion stars, 300 thumbs up. Cannot recommend it enough. It is outstanding. Shogun is incredible. Miguel, what's up, man? Will Tom Clements ever make the Packers Hall of Fame? I think he's got a chance, especially if Jordan Love continues to shine, right? I mean, it's not like that's a huge kind of pipeline as far as assistant coaches go in the Hall of Fame there, but you got to figure the narrative will be there if Jordan Love kind of reaches his potential, right? It'd be hard to deny it. Ryan, what's up, man? I'd pick Allen over Corum. Yeah, the Packers probably would too, but I still love Corum. Dylan, what's up, man? Tips on getting started making Packers content? Been thinking about writing or podcasting. I figure I should ask the Packers blog father. You calling me old, which is obviously totally fair. The best way, I mean, there's so many things I could say. I do get asked about this a lot. And it's hard to say because, like, when Corey and I started, it was a very different landscape. I mean, this is true. Cheesehead TV began before Twitter existed. Think about that. You know, we were there before social media was really a thing. So obviously, starting is very different now than it was when we started. But I will say this, the best way to go about it is to just do it and do it every day. It's like a muscle. You got to go to the gym. You got to work out every single day. Whether that's producing content, whether that's watching ball, whether that's kind of learning stuff, watch as many coaches clinics as you can. Like find out as much about the game as you possibly can. And as far as like an online presence, don't be spammy about it. Like just do the work, make the content, do the work, listen to people, have your opinions and offer them up, but don't be like, "Oh, I mentioned that in my piece here." Everybody's got a piece somewhere, man. Like just have the conversations. And as the more you have conversations with other content creators, the more people will recognize if your stuff is good and your opinions are on point, you seem to know ball, people will be like, "This kid knows what he's talking about. This guy knows what he's talking about." Like, "Whoa, this guy's always got something interesting to say." And then they'll follow you on social and then they'll maybe have more of a back and forth. Like that's how you build in my eyes, right? I think that's the best way to go about it. Obviously, there's lots of other ways, but that's for me the best way to go about it. And again, I cannot stress it enough. Do it every day. Don't be like, "Oh, I can't. I'm so bored," or "There's nothing to write about." There's always something to write about. There's always something to think about. There's always something to break down, analyze, whatever. I don't care if it's just like a third down week 3 10 years ago. Go take a look at it and see what happened and try and figure out why. Every day. It's a muscle. Got to do it. Can't stop. That's the best advice I can give you. I hope that helps. Jonathan, what's up, man? Random Packer, Joe Callahan, preseason Hall of Famer. Man, he was baby Favre that one preseason. He had a play where he legit like rolls out, I think it was to his left, and throws across his body like a 45-yard dart. Like he was mini Favre that summer, man. That's good stuff. I love that. All right, I'm gonna have to get going. I cannot thank you guys enough for hanging out, talking Packers each and every day, Monday through Friday, right here on the Cheesehead TV social channels. Please do me a monster favor. Hit like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and then tell your friends and tell your family. Cheesehead TV, we are devoted to Green Bay Packers fans worldwide. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great night. Go Pack Go.